Bhattacharya, editor of the Business Standard, is here with us in the studio. Well, Mr. Bhattacharya, how much of an opportunity is this youthful India? I mean, the most youthful nation in the world, as the Prime Minister says.
Well, yes. I mean, there's no doubt that it is an opportunity. I mean, as the Prime Minister rightly pointed out, the 65% of India's population is below 35 years of age.
Yes.
This can be a major demographic dividend. But as many people have commented, that this demographic dividend can be a demographic liability, provided you do not train your people.
Absolutely. So now the government is moving in a mission mode on Skill India, and we saw in that report also that industry is being got on board.
Absolutely.
10 crore people have to be trained in 7 years.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, there's going to be one center in each Lok Sabha constituency, and also Tata's has decided to set up 40 centers on their own.
The good thing is that I think involving the private sector in this initiative is a good initiative, because it is the job of training a person cannot just be left to the government's devices, because technology is changing. The technological obsolescence rate is very high. Somebody who has been trained in an institute in year 1 will have to be retrained in year 5 at the pace at which technology is changing, work practices are changing. So therefore, there is a constant need for training, retraining in a working span of, say, around 30 years or 40 years of a person.
Right.
So therefore, a skills mission cannot just be talking about training the young workforces and making them jobs ready, but also training and retraining the guys who are already in the industry.
Yes.
So and if you don't do that, then you will see that a large number of your workforce is actually without having gainful employment, and they will not only, there may be employment, but they will be underemployment.
Sure. And well, the Prime Minister also spoke about if India has to make the 21st century India's century and, becoming a manufacturing hub, we would have to move towards manufacturing. In terms of manufacturing, when we look at the way the world is moving, it's very mechanized, isn't it? Not very labor intensive. So what kind of manufacturing should we be looking at?
The notion that needs to be corrected a little bit here is that it is true that the manufacturing sector is becoming very mechanized and capital intensive. Therefore, the immediate job creation through a manufacturing enterprise may not be too many people. Now, it is a fact. But you have to see the fallout of a manufacturing enterprise on job creation in the tertiary sector.
Right.
For example, an automobile plant may create only 500 jobs, but the number of jobs that plant will create in the tertiary sector, in the maintenance sector, in the component sector, even in the car servicing sector, on the driving population, the driver's population. So the job creation potential of the manufacturing sector should not be measured just by the number of jobs one plant creates.
Absolutely.
You have to see what is the chain effect of that investment in a host of tertiary sector companies.
Right.
So while it is true that modern manufacturing plants do not have direct employment because they rely on technology, rely on automation, but that is necessary.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't do that, then you will not get the advantages of economies of scale, of quality, but you will create jobs in other sectors.
Sure.
And I think that's the bonus in this.
And in terms of investments coming in, because after all, you need to have investments to create, first of all, industry, and also to link it with the new sectors, Stand-up India, Startup India, innovation, all this also comes from the youth in the new economy. And Prime Minister has been talking about this also for quite some time, the linkage of Digital India, Startup India, Stand-up India, all this is actually very youth-driven.
That's right. It is youth-driven. But my take here would be that it is important that we must promote Startup India. We must take full advantage of the technology-led, apps-based business opportunities that are coming our way, and the Indian youth is no less in competence or in understanding or in application of his skills than anybody else in the world. So therefore, it is a good opportunity. But I think it will be a mistake on our part if we just guide and direct our youth to only apps-driven, technology-driven startup ventures. There is a huge scope for startup ventures which are not just relying on only a technology piece or an apps applications from the technology in IT sector. So I think the Startup India should actually enhance its scope and coverage so that a larger number of people can actually take advantage of it, and the country as such benefits.
And a final word on the number of centers or for Skill India, for skill development that are going to be set up, in the next, by 2017, there will, across every Lok Sabha constituency. Very important to have it widespread, isn't it?
Absolutely, because it is in the rural hinterland that you need the impact of this training, manpower, training young people has to be felt. So if you have to do that, you must have more centers in the rural centers, because if you want to have growth which is inclusive, which has its impact felt on all sections of society, you cannot just restricting it to the towns and the cities. You have to go down to the villages, to the rural India.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bhattacharya, for joining us here on News Night.